and welcome to the drawing corner. My name is Anna, and I had a request on something very specific, and that is yes, how do tree? Trees are like with anything in nature. Either you find it extremely hard or extremely easy because nature is random. However, there are certain rules that two types of trees, like, and these are the very basic common trees, which is like a pine tree and sort of like a pecan or, something that is more bushy and stuff. And those are the two types of common trees, like shapes that you see in nature. Like, obviously, there are others, but we're just gonna go over like 3 rules just to set it off, and that is rule number 1: the base is thick. The base of the tree is always gonna be thicker. Like, I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure out there's an exception somewhere. But, well, I would say 99% of the time, the tree will be thickest at the base. And that's just because, it's growing and it became a tree with all the years that it grew, and the base sees the bulk of that growth. So, you always want your base of the tree to be the thickest part of your tree. Number 2, follow the shape. Well, it doesn't wanna. There you go. We're gonna put shape. There you go. Follow the shape of the tree, which I said, like, there's 2 basic shapes of a tree, and of course we'll go over this, like, with me drawing and stuff. But for right now, follow the shape of the tree is number 2 rule. Like, if it's bushy, try and make an arch. If it's the pine tree, it's like triangular. And that's really just a template on how, where your leaves are gonna go, how far they're gonna go. But like I said, I'll show you in a little bit. And then number 3 rule is nature is random, extremely random. So if really there's no right or wrong, it's just follow these rules to help you draw it and to help you have a base. But especially if you're doing like fantasy, as long as you know the rule of how to make a tree, you can bend those and look at others and, expand from there your tree making skills. Alright, so I'm gonna go over what I just said, our 3 rules, and also I'm gonna show you the biggest trick. Yes, indeed, this is Google, and yeah, don't mind all the tabs. Use the internet for your, advantage and to learn. There's so many things out there that we don't know, and definitely use it to learn and how to expand, again, your tree making skills. So the first right here we have is a pine tree, and like I said, those are like triangle shaped. So basically you would have, remember, our base is the thickest, and then we have a stick. Put your stick in there, and they're always going to be at like a point. Like, that's always the basic shape of any tree, is there's a point somewhere. Especially for a pine tree, this is pretty common. So this is our base. Look at all that bark, it's beautiful. So this is what you see under this bush. Now this pine tree actually has its branches going up, which is going like this. And that's like, pretend those are your branches. And they are actually going up. But you see, I'm trying to use the shape of the tree, which is a triangle. And it's like, oh, this is too short, I'm going to expand it. Maybe have some little ones there, expand that because it's not touching, you know, I'm just trying to follow the shape that this tree has. Like, obviously it has more detail than just a triangle, but this is our basic here, our little base. It's a pointy kind of triangle, and then like our form here to kind of help us. And then we have our little branches and stuff. And like I said, this one's going up. A lot of people showcase, like, you know, for a Christmas tree, it's usually, let me draw the stick here. A lot of the Christmas trees are kind of shown going down like this, which they do exist. Like, it's not like made up or anything. Again, if you're like, oh god, I don't know how fat I want it, or you know how thick, so it's like just put, oops. And like I said, this is fine. It's like, how thick do I want it? Just draw. It's like, here you go. And that's like what most people see is like the branches going down, which, you know, like I said, anything's possible in nature, so it does do it. I mean, we see right here as well. So it is possible, and to get the branches, there's like pine trees, right? So it's green. Let's get green here. Sure. Let's get a less bright green. And pine tree has like a lot of pines on it, and you kind of just put sticks, stick, 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 and just keep putting the layers of stick. Like the most thing with trees is that they have a lot of layers. They have a lot of gradients in the color and stuff like that. So just keep on piling, keep a piling, keep a piling, and some bug, 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 and I'm gonna put bug, 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 bug. There you go. There's our top here. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. But you see, I'm not being precise. I'm kind of just filling my tree. It's very therapeutic in a way. It's just like, ah, yes, tree. Poke, poke, poke. Because it's like short, fast strokes. And you put some in front of the tree. It's naked. Put some trees. And remember, just follow the contour of the tree. Like this one's going up. So for this one, it'll be going down. And I'd just be doing more down than up. Because, like, you're going to have some that go up. Like, you're going to have some that go down here. But for the most part, you want to follow the contour of the tree and how it's going and stuff. Especially in the middle here, where you kind of had to just make it up. It's like, this is going up. Yep, okay. But as you can see, like, you can slowly see the build of our tree here. And it's getting fluffier, and it's becoming more of like an actual tree. Like I've been painting and drawing and all this sort of thing for years, and the most important thing is just to have patience, honestly, with yourself and as you learn, and with the just doing it, because when you start, it's gonna look weird. Like anything you start art-wise is gonna look odd. But as you can see, we have like a nice little bushy tree coming along, and that's just me doing random kind of pokey, like short strokes around our little branches here. Now, of course, you would do it cleaner if you wanted to like actually make a nice tree. But let's get some dark green, and we're gonna put it like towards the bottom here. Yeah, just fill it in, you know. Don't cover the base completely. Like this one on the right, our reference, it is covered completely, but if you want to like show the base, and it's like, oh, this is a tree and not a random bush, then definitely show the base there and just fill in the rest with your colors. So I'm just putting green, the darker green, towards the bottom here. And kind of gonna space it out a little bit more. As you can see, it's slowly becoming a very fluffy tree. Alright. And if you want to be like, oh, this is pure green right here, like the really green, you could put that line in and then put some lighter green on top of it. That way it adds the texture back in. You can like fade some stuff out there. Like, ah, yes. I want to reach the bottom here. There you go. And again, there's no like, oh, you're gonna put this much in there and it's gonna look right, but you know, it's just doing it and trying it out. So we're gonna put some light green in there, and this would be towards the top. Let's say our lightest part, like their sun is on this side. That's another thing, just be aware of like, oh, where is my make-believe sun? You know? It's like, where is that thing? I don't know. And it's alright if like you don't know right away, like you can go and change it at some point. Like it's not, oh, I didn't know at the beginning and now I'm gonna die. No. You know, nothing is set in stone. Just go back in. I'm gonna put some in here just to separate this. Just to separate it a little bit. But yeah, and I'll put some more little ones here. Yeah. There you go. Alright, and then you can go like super bright. And you can do like, oh, the tips. The tips that are seeing the sun. Beautiful. And that one definitely use like more sparingly than you would something else. And at this time, you can see I'm just going up now. Like everything else is pretty filled, so I'm just going up. I'm not even doing like all the random patterns. I'm just filling in right here. And you can see like right here is on the right side of the tree. We have some lighter colors going on, and like, oh, it is the sun. And this is more dark and stuff, and you can't really, like, you see just a corner of the base. And yeah, so you have your tree here. Like, this is a tree. You don't need to see the branches, especially with an evergreen. You know, it's very rare that you're gonna see them naked. So like, just fill them up. Like, you don't have to show the branches if with an evergreen. On our reference on the right, you can see like the tips of the branches that are like bright brown and stuff, because it just how it's formed, because that is more like a different, it's like that and then pokey. So there's just more detail. But like if this is in a background and you just have it for a scene, or you know, there's a frog, or I don't know, a circle, whatever, rock, you know, if it's just a simple scene and this is something in the background, then this is enough. Like, this is enough to read as tree. This is tree, this is fluffy evergreen, and there's like a sun somewhere on the right somewhere. I don't know. Sure, right there. Because it's more towards the top. And, I mean, it's the sun. It'd be more in the sky. But, so yeah. Like, for a simple scene, this is enough to do. And like I said, this is the same. You just do it down. Like, more of the needles are pointing down than up. And like, you just fill it in the same exact way. and you're just trying to keep the base, at least this much of the base, showing so that you read it as a tree. There are evergreens that reach all the way to the bout. Like, it's like you see this and then it goes up. So the base kind of acts as, you know, the bottom of our leaflets here. And all you have to do is fill it in the same way. It's just you're following the base contour right here. And of course, you would be following the base. Like right now I'm just showing you so you can still see the base. But you can go over it if you so choose, like extremely fluffy. But yeah, you just fill it in like normal. And there you go. You have your tree that is more bush-like. A lot of evergreens are, especially if they're for decorations near like houses and stuff. Like the very triangle, very neat trees are. So definitely, you know, keep that in mind. Like, you want this to be read as a tree, and if so, are you gonna put a bush near your tree and all that sort of thing. So there's a lot to consider, but also it's kind of like what's in your heart, you know. Listen to your inner artist. It's like, what do I want to do? But yeah, so this is the pine tree. It's pretty simple. Like you saw at the end, I was just kind of just putting some light in there and just going up. Like I wasn't even really paying attention to like the other side or anything because of the light. But so yeah, it's fairly simple. And now we move on to our bushy tree. So on the right you see I also have Google picked up, and we have a naked tree and a full tree. This is a pecan tree, or pecan, or pecan. I don't know who says who, but you know, pecan is a fun one. So this is definitely the harder of the trees to make, because it is more random than the simple evergreen. So definitely is the one that gives a lot of trouble, I believe. So what we want to start with, I'm going to start with black and my brush, not the zooms. And now, remember our rules. Rule number 1, our base is the thickest. Look at that thickness. Shit thick. Alright, so that's our rule number 1, and then rule number 2 is to have our shape down, like it follow our shape. Like you see in our little thingy on the right, it's like, oh yes. I mean, just think about like when you're little and you did like a simple shape of a tree. And there you go, that's your simple shape of a tree. It's kind of like a mushroom. And then that is your mushroom. So this is where your leaves are gonna go, or your branches, depending on if you want it naked or not. So bare branches. So number 1 thing is there's always gonna be side shoots. Always. This tree is crazy. So like I said, there's really no rhyme or reasons like, yes, I'm gonna put this here, I'm gonna put that there, blah 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 blah. Just make sure you finish off the trunk here with some stable I can't talk, but anyway, finish off your trunk right here and then go off on your branches. Like, oh, this is a branch and I'm gonna put it there, and then this is gonna go over here. This is gonna branch off and connect here, and maybe there's a branch over here, back here, and this will branch off. So yeah, this tree is definitely more random. As long as you fill out like, oh, this is gonna branch here and put it there, this is gonna branch there. And there's no set. It was like, oh, there's 5 or whatever. No. There's never a set amount of branches or anything. It's just what looks right and stuff. Like, this doesn't look right, so I'm going to put in that part here. It's like this is bending back there. Make sure they're all connected somehow. That's the most important part. Make sure it makes sense. And so here's our main branches here. What I did was just branch them off because it's rarely stays thick like this throughout the whole thing. Unlike our, pine tree that was like a stick, It's not like that. Like it has to branch off. It always does that. Like it's pretty rare for a tree to be like thick the whole way up, and those are more like the thinner trees. So I mean, like I said, there are exceptions, but like for this kind of tree, it's very rare. So what you want to do is like I broke it off in two, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna fill this up, which broke off of this one, and then I filled this up, breaking off of this one on the right, and then this broke off on the left, and this was kind of weird looking, so I put it back in, and it's like, oh, it's a bending branch, a pretty big branch in the background. So, and that just gives you your texture and your starting point here. And of course, with trees, this is like the branches, and then you have like tiny ones that are like veins. Unless you have a tree that's naked, I do not suggest you do that. There's a lot of tiny ones. Like I said, they're the veins of the tree. So unless you're gonna show off like, oh, this is an awesome kind of naked tree, and look at all the, the shape of the branches and the tiny ones that just make the fullness of the tree, even though it's naked. So unless you're gonna do that, I suggest don't do this. This will drive you insane. The best way, especially, this is, if you're gonna pet naked, do that, and you're pretty much done. Just follow your template, and it's all good. And you can fill it up, and just don't go past your template. But if you're gonna put it like a tree, a fluffy tree, we want our green again. I'm gonna get dark green, and I'm gonna put my brush off. Now, remember, this tree has tiny ones all around. Really, it's like, we didn't do it for this because it's clothed and we don't need to do it. So remember that, and then be like, oh yes, we're gonna put like tiny leaves, and I have the pen pressure on, so it's not going as dark as it probably should, but it's fine. So we're just gonna put like little roundness. Like, sure, you can do the individual shape of the leaf, or an actual shape of the leaf, but if you wanted something pretty quick, this is how to do. And remember, there's things down here, like like it's not just floating in the air, there's actually things holding it in reality. And definitely go over certain tree branches. Like, I know you worked hard on it, but you're gonna have to go over certain one. Alright, we're gonna say our first layer here is done, even though I would definitely go darker normally. And then we're gonna do our medium. Now, as you can see in our reference picture, there are certain things that are definitely darker, and there's certainly things that are lighter. And that's just how the sun hits it. Some in front, put some up here, and you can even do like the simple way of doing it, which is like a cloud. Like, trees are pretty much land clouds, so you can do like, oh, I don't want to poke this anymore, let's let's just kind of do willy, and willy, and willy. Like, I'm still not 100% used to drawing on the computer, but So maybe it's just me, but I definitely think doing something like this, especially when you're learning, is definitely easier on a pen and paper. Just so you can get a feel with it and get used to it. Because that's kind of just what I'm doing right now, is like going by how many years I've been doing this. It's like, how does this feel? Yes, yes, yes. So we'll say this is, you know, the light part, blah, blah, blah. And then we're gonna go to the lighter part, our neon. And this is always like at the top of the tree. And sporadically, you don't want like neon everywhere. It's like, remember, your fake sun somewhere. This one's on kind of like right above it, so we definitely want it at the top here. Up here, put some here, and some here. There. But yeah. So, let me go back with our dark. Because right now it looks kind of weird. I just did a quick, very quick, you know, sporadic of the dark one here. So just so we get a better idea of what's happening here. So now you see like there's sections like, oh, this is the dark place because it's beneath the tree. And then like you see certain branches and stuff, and you could like highlight them and stuff like that. And actually finish them off, because definitely finish them off if you want them to be the star before you leaf them. But yeah, so basically there you have it. That is pretty much how you do a fluffy tree. Just think in mind like, oh, this is a, you know, a land cloud. The sun was right at top, so there we go, something crazy. Like definitely more brighter leaves at the top, and some in there, and some in there. Like, it doesn't really take much. Like, ah, yes, yes, sun. Yeah. So you can see, like, you can keep going, and add more and more definition, and then you have your tree. And yeah. Hopefully, you know, that helped you make a tree. I know it's kind of hard in practice, especially if not used to it. But one of the things I do in class, like I said, these are pretty much land clouds. So think about this, like our base of course is the thickness, remember that, and then here we have our cloud. The way I teach it is a simple cloud, which is like, oh, you know, there's a line, and then you have a hump, and then another hump, and another hump, and then like a wispy kind of thing. So this is, as you can see, kind of like the top of our little cloud here, or our tree. So all I can do is just, you know, fluff it up a little bit more on the sides, and then add definition, like, oh, the darkness would be where the sun's not hitting, and that'll be like more towards the middle or the left if we're gonna say our sun's on the right. And then we're gonna move on to our secondary color. Secondary color goes in that there, blah blah blah, and our bright color, and our sun is here, so this is definitely white, like lighter, and there you go. So you could start off with a cloud, just make it fluffier, and there's a tree. So keep that in mind, like, oh, this is a cloud. Just remember the basic of a cloud, which is hump, 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 and then a wisp. And then you can just add the humps that make your tree. And that's the simplest way I could teach like a basic to start off tree. And, you know, the branches and stuff, if you're not ready for it yet, you know, you could slowly work yourself up to it. I mean, I explained this in my Pokemon drawing kind of thing, that the way I started learning was just doing like tracing each Pokemon, and then the shapes and stuff made more sense. So, you know, you always start somewhere. And if branches are too scary, you know, because they aren't set, you know, I can't say, oh, this is here, this is here. It's more like, oh, this looks right. I hope that helped you guys make a tree. Make two types of trees. We have our, you know, pecan. Yeah, pecan, and then we got the other one, our, what is it, Christmas tree kind of thing. Our Christmas ornament here, it's kind of waving in the background. But yeah, so you can see it's not difficult once you understand the rules, which is, again, the base is the thickness, always the thickness. Like, if you know a tree that isn't, definitely like post it, or, you know, tell me the name of it and I'll look it up, because that'll be awesome. But that'll be awesome to know. But so base always thickness. Remember your shape, and you could put a template of your shape around your tree before you put branches or anything else on it. You just put your base, your shape, and then, you know, if it's a pine tree, it's gonna be like a cone kind of triangle. And if it's like a pecan tree, it's like a mushroom kind of shape. So it's more poofy. And remember, it's a land cloud, so if that helps you out as well. It's just more floofy, with leaves than air or rain, whatever that kind of cloud is made out of. But yeah, so hopefully this helped you out. Let me know if you want to learn something else, or there's something else you have in mind. And yeah, if I didn't cover something that you really want to know, you know, let me know all of that in the comments down below. And, you know, if you try it out, you know, post it on there, or I don't know how pictures work in the comment section. I don't know if it's allowed, but I would love to see them, because it'd be awesome. You know, I do teach on the weekends, so like painting and stuff, so I'm always excited to see what my students do. But thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.